Hello crafty people, it's Sharon here and I'm back with my second mouse colouring video. I'm going to use this stamp set from Lili of the Valley, which is called Have a Nice Day, and today I'm going to colour a little girl mouse in grey. No, sorry, in brown. If you want to see a mouse in grey, I have another video specifically for that, and I'll link it in the comments so that you can go back and have a look at that one, which is this little guy with his piece of cheese. So he's going to be a grey mouse and his little friend is going to be a brown mouse. So let's get going. I've already stamped out my mouse, which you can see here, and because I'm colouring in alcohol pens, I've stamped her out in a Memento ink pad, which is a dye-based ink and won't mix and run with my alcohol markers. And I'm keeping the palette fairly minimal here, so I'm going to colour the whole thing with just 5 colours and 1 pencil. So if you want to see how that's done, stick with me and we'll have this coloured in ever so quickly. This is actually quite a small image, as you can see when I put my finger up against it. So I've zoomed in nice and close so you can see what's going on. And I'm going to be doing my colouring today using my Ohuhu Honolulu pens. And I am picking for my browns E280, E210 and E440. So that's where we're going to start. I'm going to start with my lightest colour, which is E280, and just like my previous mouse, I'm going to start in one of the less intimidating areas, which is just the edges of her ears. So I'm going to go in with E280, which is a very pale sort of beige colour, and I'm just going to give the edges of those ears a nice little colour around, which is very easy to do with these brush pens because it's literally, you just sweep the pen around. And then I'm going to go to my darkest colour, which is E440, and I'm going to add the shade where I want it to be, which is, for me, is going to be where the ears are joining to the head, or in this case going behind the little bow on her head. There we go. And then I'm going to come with my medium colour, which is E210. And I'm just going to blend out from the dark into the light. And I'm doing that just by pulling from the edge of the dark colour and dragging towards the light colour. But just being sure to make sure I don't cover that light colour completely. And then I'm going to go and do the same thing from medium to light, which won't take too much effort because they're quite close, those two colours. Now, if I want a little bit more depth, I can actually go back with my dark colour and just add some more of that dark brown back in, just to give some more depth. And then onto my medium, just to drag that out very gently. And because by now the card's fairly wet, that's going to blend quite easily. Next I'm going to go down to her tail, I think. And we are going to just put a bit of the lightest colour all the way around the tail. And again, I'm going to get my dark colour, add some lowlights where I think the shade might be, and this is a very tiny area, so I'm just adding the smallest amount of the medium colour and then going back to my my light colour once again, just to give that a little wash over. And once again, I think I will just take my dark colour and just add some of that back in there, just to give a little bit more depth. Okay, so next I'm going to go on to the body, which when you look at it is made up of, again, of quite a few small pieces, but because the overall area is not that big, not much bigger than my finger, I can get away with doing all of it in one go. So with my pale colour, I'm actually going to go over the whole lot of her body. So arms, legs, tummy and feet. There we go. And I'm going to follow the same process as I have with the ears really. I'm going to go in with my darkest colour and I'm just going to add some very delicate low lights just where I think there would be shadow. And I'm trying not to go in too heavily because, like I say, this is a very small area and I'm going to eventually have to get 3 colours in. I don't want to lose my light area, so I'm literally lightly touching around the edges and just adding that in. I can always go and add a little bit more later if I need to, but it's hard to get rid of it if I do too much. So now I'm going with my medium colour and I'm just touching the edges of that dark colour and just taking it in a little bit more, but being very careful to make sure that I do leave some of that pale colour behind. And then going back to my light colour, I can just blend that out if I want to. And once again, my dark colour is disappearing quite a lot, so I'm just going to go and put some of that in just to get that shadow going. And then with the lightest touch, I'm just going to go to the edges with my medium colour just to soften the edges. I'm not even trying to blend, it's just the lightest touch. And hopefully that will preserve that dark colour. And that leaves us with the biggest area of the mouse, which is the face here. And for this, I'm going to go once again all over with my lightest colour, being careful to avoid the eyes so that she gets her white glow in her eyes, but I'm not worried about the nose. I'm going to just go straight over the top of that. And just give that a good covering so that it looks fairly smooth. And then with my darkest colour, I'm going to add the shadow. So I'm going to come in very lightly around the edge, and then round the bottom of her chin I'm going to thicken that up a little bit because the shadow will be down the bottom of her face. And of course she'll have a little bit of a shadow under her bow as well. There we go. And what we want to try and do is keep the centre of the face, where her eyes and her nose, fairly light, because that's where you want to draw your own eyes to. That's where her personality is. So we want that to shine. And now I'm going with my medium colour. Sorry, I picked the wrong one up there. Back to my medium colour. I'm going to blend around the edges and bring that in a little bit more, and more further from the top. So now I'm making more of a sort of oval shape around the eyes. And with my lightest pen, I'm just going to soften that up. And because I'm adding like a second layer, you will find that the bit in the middle will stay slightly lighter because it's just one layer of my pale colour, whereas above it will be slightly darker because I've added an extra layer. Now again, by doing all of this, my dark colour does fade out quite a bit, so I'm just going to reiterate that shade once again, going in very lightly just to bring that shade in. And the darker it is on the edge, the lighter her central part of her face will be. So actually, by darkening the edges, it makes her features glow a little bit more. And I'm just touching in with my medium around the edges just to soften that dark colour. Now I want her to have rosy cheeks, and so for that I've got a colour, it's actually called Eggshell White, and the number is E090, but it's kind of a soft peachy colour, and for me it's perfect for cheeks because it's not too fluorescent. So all I'm doing is dabbing it under her eyes to make her rosy cheeks, and you can see that it gives the most subtle peachy glow, which is exactly what I like. And I might just put a little bit on her nose as well. There we go, just so she's got a bit of a pink nose. And the next thing I'm going to do is do the inside of her ears with this colour, which when you see it on the white, you can see it's actually quite a strong peachy colour, but it's perfect for making those blush cheeks. I think it's probably my favourite for that kind of thing, because I really don't like it when you end up with the sort of fluorescent bright pink cheeks. I want them to look soft and blushing, so that works really well for me. But I do want to get a little element of shading in there, so I'm going to go with my pale brown colour, which is E280, and I'm just going to draw a little bit of shadow. And I'm not even going to blend it, I'm just drawing some shadow round near her head, as if her head is casting a shadow on her ears, and that's all we need for that. Now finally we're going to go on to the bow, and I'm going to make a lovely red bow for her. So I am going to use a colour R200, which is a pinky red colour. It's slightly on the pale side. And I'm going to make this ever so easy. We're not going to worry about the spots. I'm just going to colour over the whole lot. There we go. So I've coloured everything over, and you'll see how we're going to fix that in a moment. I've then brought in a red pencil, which is called Carmine, from my Ohuhu pencils. But like I say, you can use any pencils that you've got. And I'm just going to add some shading. And the reason I'm doing it with a pencil is that this is such a tiny area. I just want to start from the middle, draw a line, and then draw some sort of lines in an outward fashion, as if there are pleats in the ribbon. So I'm just following the shapes that are already there and drawing a little bit of highlight top and bottom. So again, it's very subtle, but it's all you really need, because this is a tiny little area. And then I'm going to put back those little white spots using a white gel pen. And what will happen is that this will fade a little bit, but it's not going to mix with the ink. So we will get a nice white finish on the top. And my pen of preference tends to be the Uniball Signo, because I found these don't seem to block as much as some of the other pens. So I'm just basically going in where those circles are and just drawing that white back in. Simple as that. There won't be any shading, they're just going to be white dots. And there we have our lovely little finished mouse. Now, if you'd like to see what I'm going to do with her in terms of card, I will be making another card on another video, showing you how to make a lovely background for her to sit against and complete a card. Meanwhile, I'll just bring in her friend, the little grey mouse. There we go. Let's zoom out a little bit. So here's her little friend, which he's been coloured in on a separate video. And these two are going to be the stars of a new card that's coming up in the not too distant future. So watch this space. Subscribe to me if you'd like to see what happens to this cute little pair. And hopefully I'll see you soon. But meanwhile, I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. I look forward to joining you again. Meanwhile, take care and see you soon. Bye.